In the second year after his company went public, Asher asked for a divorce. He wanted to give Clara a proper title. He didn't want the woman who had graduated from a prestigious university abroad, who had stayed up all night with him, who had helped the company reach new heights, to be gossiped about any longer. He said he was sorry, but there was no love between us anymore, and we shouldn't torture each other. I refused to let go, for the sake of our 10 years together, and for our daughter, until our daughter's birthday, when he received a call from Clara and left in a hurry. My daughter and I were in a car accident. When I woke up, I signed the divorce papers, because I had lost my memory, and my mind had reverted to the time before I met him. When Asher appeared in the hospital room, I was asking a nurse how to use a smartphone. A car accident had sent my memory back 10 years. Back then, I was a fresh-faced college student, lively and innocent, cheerful and straightforward. After the kind nurse's patient instruction, I ordered a McDonald's meal and gave her a thumbs up. This is amazing. I feel like I've traveled to the future. Asher walked in, frowning. Anna, what tricks are you playing now? I glanced up at him. The man was dressed in a custom-made suit, his features handsome and deep, exuding the air of a business elite. But the impatience in his eyes was unmistakable. It was infuriating. I retorted unhappily. Mister, who are you? Don't you know it's rude to shout? He was stunned. He seemed not to have expected me to speak to him in such a confrontational tone. The nurse explained awkwardly that this gentleman was my husband. How annoying. I was clearly a cute and charming young beauty. How could one car accident turn me into someone's wife and a mother? The key was in the designer bag that was brought to the hospital with me. There was a divorce agreement. Puh. What a dog of a man. Asher found my attending physician. He was an international medical authority. There was no possibility of collusion or lying. It was confirmed that I had truly lost my memory. Asher returned to the hospital room, his legs crossed. He watched me devour a hamburger and fries with a calm gaze. I licked the ketchup off my fingers and looked at him warily. You're not a marriage scammer, are you? Thinking about it, I just can't see myself marrying someone like you. Asher watched my actions, a little lost in thought, as if he had never seen a college girl eat with such gusto. Why? His voice was cool and distant. First, I don't like pretentious men. You look hard to get along with, and you have no basic respect for women, let alone your wife. As I said the last two words, I felt my face flush. A strange sense of shame washed over me. Second, I heard some gossip after I woke up. A man rushed off to celebrate an anniversary with his mistress, causing his wife and daughter to get into a car accident. When I was done listening to the story and cursing along with everyone else, I realized I was that poor wife. Gossip was a new word I had learned online. I'd rather believe I'm blind and should go burn some incense than accept that I chose a man who would abandon his wife and daughter as my husband. Asher's thin lips were pressed together, his expression unreadable. You really think so? Of course. I always thought I would marry someone like Ethan. Ethan was the captain of the university basketball team. Handsome, athletic, and a total sweetheart. Seeing me praise another man to his face, Asher's expression turned incredibly ugly. Besides the amnesia, I had a minor fracture in my foot. It wasn't a big deal. Going to the Civil Affairs Bureau in a wheelchair was no problem. I happily took out the divorce agreement that symbolized a sudden windfall and cleared my throat. Mr. Cole, you clearly don't care if I live or die, so you must be eager to get a divorce. Anna Shaw, am not one to cling. We can sign the agreement today, but I have one condition. Asher's expression relaxed slightly, and he said patiently, go on. The agreement states that the house downtown and $10 million in cash will be mine, and that I should prioritize selling my 15% of the company's shares to you at market price. I have no problem with any of that, but I don't want custody of our daughter. Asher's eyes sharpened, and his voice turned cold. Don't say I didn't warn you. The shares and custody of our daughter were the things you were holding on to and refusing to let go of. I stretched and said nonchalantly, I don't know how the me of 10 years from now turned into such a desperate housewife, but my memory has returned to my freshman year, and I'm full of anticipation for a new world to open up. Besides, I can barely take care of myself. How can I be a mother to a bratty kid? Asher almost laughed in anger. Anna, if Chloe knew you called her a bratty kid, she would be crying her eyes out again. Huh. We'll see who out. Cries whom. Looking at my defiant face, Asher was momentarily dazed, as if he saw the Anna who would jump into his arms and demand kisses. That was when he loved me most. Back then, I hadn't become the annoying wife who revolved around her daughter and constantly checked up on him. Asher tore up the divorce agreement I had signed. He said he would go back and redraft it. I ignored him and picked up the remote to watch TV. I didn't want to wake up one day and be a pitiful soul abandoned by the times. But who knew? That scoundrel Asher brought a 5-year-old girl in. Mommy. She had 2 little pigtails and rushed towards me with teary eyes. This. Even though I had been warned, it was still hard to accept. What good student becomes a mother right after turning 18? And painlessly at that. I smiled at the girl, a little awkwardly. Your name is Chloe. Mommy. You really don't remember me. I sighed helplessly. The little girl cried even harder. Asher's eyes never left my face for a second, as if he was trying to see if I was still acting. After all, in his mind, the bond between a mother and daughter was unbreakable. I could forget everyone else, but I shouldn't forget the child I had risked my life for. Because the day Chloe was born, I was with Asher, visiting a client. He was given a hard time, forced to drink, and was finally thrown onto the street, dead drunk. On the way to take Asher to have his stomach pumped, I fell and went into premature labor, and was taken to the hospital by a kind stranger. When he sobered up, the doctor said I had lost a lot of blood and was in critical condition. Fortunately, they managed to save me in the end, but it was unlikely I could have a second child. So, custody of Chloe became Asher's bargaining chip. He agreed to give me our daughter, on the condition that I give up my company shares. But now, I wanted nothing. Yet Asher brought Chloe to me. Why? Could it be that he didn't want his daughter to be an eyesore in front of his mistress? Chloe and I got along quite well. She was very well behaved, feeding me pieces of apple that the caregiver had cut. She also said I had become more interesting. Not like before when I rarely smiled. I was a little curious. What had the energetic, sunny girl I once was devolved into? Chloe. What was Mommy like before? Her small, chubby hands cupped my face. Mommy was very good to me before, but she would always cry secretly under the covers and rarely smiled at Daddy. Even a goddess wouldn't be able to smile if she had a cheating scumbag for a husband. But if Asher was in love with someone else, why did I refuse to let go? People are so complicated. The me of 10 years ago couldn't understand the me of 10 years later. Asher drove a Bentley and personally brought Chloe and me home. He refused to sign the divorce agreement. His reason was that he was afraid that if I regained my memory, I would cause a huge scene. Hilarious. Who would pick up something they had thrown away? Asher held the sleeping Chloe in one arm and carried my change of clothes with the other. You don't want custody, but Chloe can't live without you. I followed behind him slowly with my crutches. Entering the house, my eyes lit up. The house was decorated in my favorite style, warm and comfortable, but it was 300 square meters. Thinking about the housing prices in the city center, I was rich. Asher observed my expression carefully, a smile he didn't even notice himself crossing his lips. I was a little thirsty. Where are the cups? I want to drink some water. Asher searched for a while before handing me one. I teased. It seems you're rarely home. You're not familiar with the place at all. He watched me quietly, his expression unreadable. I couldn't tell what he was feeling, but someone else couldn't hold back. Asher was awkwardly washing Chloe's hair when his phone rang. I glanced at it and asked curiously, "Who's Clara? Are you going to answer?" The phone kept ringing. Asher's calm expression finally wavered, and he spat out 2 words through gritted teeth. "No need." Oh. I went back to the living room, opened a bag of chips, and put my feet up on the sofa to watch TV. At 10 o'clock at night, the doorbell rang. A woman in a black turtleneck, wearing magenta lipstick, and exuding confidence appeared. "Who are you?" The woman ignored me. "Where's Asher?" "He's putting Chloe to sleep." She walked in on her stilettos. "Anna, why won't you sign the divorce papers? Isn't what Asher is giving you enough? The company's success is all thanks to him and me. What right do you, a stay-at-home wife who does nothing but stay at home, have to continue to possess him? I may have lost my memory, but not my intelligence. This must be Asher's mistress, arrogant and ostentatious. and aggressive towards the original wife. So infuriating. I suddenly understood why the me of 10 years later refused to let go. It wasn't that I couldn't bear to part with the man. It was that I couldn't swallow this insult. Asher heard the commotion and came out. Clara's face changed to one of a weak and delicate woman. Asher, I've been waiting for you. Didn't you say you would come back after taking them home from the hospital? Seeing my enjoying the show expression, he looked uncomfortable. I'm worried she won't be able to take care of Chloe. I'll stay here for tonight. Clara's voice was tinged with tears. But you promised me you wouldn't be with her again. What kind of soap opera was this? I shooed them away. You two, leave. Take Chloe with you. Don't get in the way of my late night drama binge. Clara looked at me furiously. Anna, don't think that by retreating you can make Asher compromise. Are you out of your mind? I haven't said a thing. And you've already made up so much in your head. How about I introduce you to my attending physician? She was so angry she was about to say more. Asher pushed her out the door. Be good. You go back first. I'll handle things here. Clara left, her face full of reluctance. I took a satisfying sip of my soda and couldn't help but ask. By the way, I was in such a big accident. Why didn't my mom come to see me? Asher's body stiffened. He didn't know how to answer. A year ago, when my mother was on her deathbed, I had called him, begging him to come back to see her one last time. Asher said he was on a business trip abroad and couldn't make it back in time. In reality, he was with Clara in Switzerland, skiing. Anna. Asher's voice was inexplicably filled with pity and remorse. It gave me goosebumps. Damn it. Our relationship must be at rock bottom for my body to have such an automatic rejection reaction. Promise me you'll stay calm after you hear this. Okay. A sense of foreboding washed over me. Mister, just say it. Don't scare me. Your mother. She passed away from an illness a year ago. I staggered back a step, the cup falling to the floor and shattering. Impossible. Tears blurred my vision. I frantically searched for her phone number. My mom loves the countryside. She must be at home, planting flowers, growing vegetables, and having afternoon tea. But when I dialed the number, it said it was no longer in service. The tears flowed uncontrollably, like a leaky roof with a hole in it. It was impossible to stop. I had grown up with just my mother. She had disobeyed my grandfather's wishes and fallen in love with an irresponsible man. And had me. When I grew up, my mother warned me more than once not to be deceived by men, not to have children so early, and especially not to be a single mother. That life was too tiring. Now it seemed I hadn't followed any of her advice. She must be so disappointed. Asher held me as I sobbed, wiping my tears as if I were a child. Anna, don't be like this. Go away. My mom worked so many jobs to raise me. She was tired, but she was strong. It must be because you tricked me into marrying and having a child so early that I lost my mom. She said that if I didn't listen, I would anger her to death. Just like back then. My grandfather died early because he had an unfilial daughter. It's not like that. Asher tried to explain, but he couldn't argue. It was he who had pursued me relentlessly in my sophomore year. It was he who had eagerly married me after graduation. It was he who had poked holes in condoms so that his mother could see her grandchild before she died. And in the end, it was he who had fallen in love with someone else and abandoned me. Those past events, buried by time, rushed back to Asher's mind along with my endless remorse for my mother. He remembered my reason for refusing to divorce before I lost my memory. I wanted to give Chloe a complete home and not have her grow up in a single-parent family. At the time, Asher didn't believe it. He looked at me indifferently. Anna, when you don't love someone, you don't love them. I will give you enough compensation. Why drag the child into this? Until this moment, when my memory had returned to 10 years ago, and I still remembered my mother's teachings and believed that my disobedience had led to this tragedy. Asher finally realized that the ingrained ideas from one's original family could not be compensated for with money. 9. I woke up at dawn. I found that someone had carried me from the sofa to the bed. Asher had taken Chloe to kindergarten and returned with a basket of fennel dumplings. My heart stung a little. That was my mother's favorite flavor. I finally calmed down and said to him, "Let's get the divorce papers done soon." Asher disagreed. "Your mother died of an illness. It has nothing to do with you. She was quite satisfied with me before she passed away and believed I could take good care of you. There's no need to take the blame." I knew I was being stubborn. But to wake up and find that the person who loved me most in the world was gone, I needed an outlet for my grief. Our days fell into a stalemate. Asher refused to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau, and he was spending noticeably more time at home. The so-called busy CEO was patiently picking up Chloe from school and coming home to cook. His every move was a complete contrast to the man I had seen when I first woke up. At dinner, I couldn't help but ask, "Are you possessed? Have you forgotten you have another home outside?" Asher glanced at me, put a piece of deboned fish in Chloe's bowl, and said lightly, "Don't talk nonsense in front of the child." I pouted. Before I lost my memory, I probably hadn't said many bad things about him in front of our daughter. Their father-daughter relationship seemed quite good. At night, Chloe pestered Asher to tell her a bedtime story, her arms wrapped around his neck. "Daddy, Mommy used to say you were busy with work and that's why you didn't come home to play with me. Are you on vacation now? Will you always be my second best in the world?" "I will." I listened, stunned. When I was young, my father had abandoned my mother and me, but my mother rarely spoke ill of him. It wasn't that she was still hung up on him. She just felt that I had already lost my father's companionship and didn't want my heart to be filled with resentment. My mother gave me double the love, providing for me materially as much as she could, and competing with other fathers at parent-child sports days. She would say, "My dear, what other mothers can give you, I will give you. What other fathers can give you, I will not let you lack." But being a single mother was too tiring. She didn't want me to repeat her mistakes. Thinking of my loving mother, I opened my laptop and started looking for a job. Asher had said that after Chloe was born, I had quit my job and stayed at home. His mistress had also mocked me for being a stay-at-home wife who contributed nothing. If my mother were still alive, she would be furious. She had worked so hard to send me to school, scrimping and saving to hire tutors for me. She definitely didn't want to see me become a freeloader. Asher had put Chloe to bed and found me updating my resume. He frowned and asked, "Are you looking for a job?" "Yes. The money I gave you is enough to live a good life. If you go to work." "What about Chloe?" "Strange. Chloe is in kindergarten. Why can't I work?" He tugged at his tie in frustration. "You've always been the one to take care of Chloe's health. What if?" "There is no what if." I cut him off coldly. "Then come back to the company and help. I'll give you the highest salary." I laughed in anger. "If I remember correctly, your mistress is also at the company, right? Do you want to have both of us? Or do you want to see me get slapped in the face?" "That's not what I mean. Chloe's health is delicate. If she gets sick, it's easier for you to take time off. I think you're the one who's sick." And seriously so. I logged into my long-forgotten QQ account. My college roommate, Mia, had sent a message. "Anna, you're really something. You ran off to a city after graduation to get married and have a baby, completely forgetting about your old classmates. N University's centennial celebration is coming up. Are you coming back?" Without a second thought, I bought a plane ticket. It was strange. I had lost 10 years of memories, but I still felt a sense of familiarity with this city I hadn't seen in so long. Mia said excitedly, "You really lost your memory. Do you remember that embarrassing time I walked into the men's restroom?" I had forgotten, but now that you've brought it up, I'll probably remember it for another 30 years. She beat her chest in frustration and then asked if I remembered Ethan. At the mention of his name, I was wide awake. Ethan was a legend at N University. Handsome, from a good family, captain of the school basketball team, and top of his class. Mia chattered on. "The Ice Prince was quite interested in you. You know, the cute, lively, and cheerful little girl. In our sophomore year, he went abroad as an exchange student. We heard he got back together with his first love and wasn't coming back. You cried your eyes out. And that's when that guy Asher had his chance to swoop in." I was hearing gossip about myself. My inner gossip monger was awakened. Mia changed the subject. "I hear Ethan started a company in a city. Have you two met?" I really didn't remember. In the N University auditorium, Ethan, as an outstanding alumnus, donated $10 million to the school. The man on stage was dressed in a suit and tie, speaking eloquently. I stared at him for a long time, until that handsome face gradually matched the image of the young man in my memory. A smile appeared on my lips. That was the romantic time of a young girl's first love. Back then, Asher hadn't appeared in my life yet. Long time no see. Ethan walked up to me, his smile warm. We strolled through the campus. A basketball came flying towards us. He quickly stepped in front of me to block it, and with a beautiful arc, threw a perfect three-pointer. I couldn't help but applaud. An image flashed in my mind of the cool and composed top student, dazzling on the basketball court. Back then, I had boldly cheered for Ethan on the court. Ethan always looked at me with a smile. I thought he might have liked me a little too. But in the end, our youth became a missed opportunity. Ethan's gaze was deep. Anna, you lost your memory. How did you know? Ethan's hometown was also in a city. He had heard about me when he returned to take over the family business. I felt inexplicably guilty. Then do you know I'm married and have a child? Yes. His voice suddenly stiffened. Then he smiled faintly. I hear you're looking for a job. Yes. I always thought your talents shouldn't be buried in the family. After all, back then, I had been admitted to an university with the fifth highest score in the city. How about you try my company? But I have amnesia. I'm afraid I've forgotten a lot of things. It's okay. I'll teach you. I didn't find my memories on my trip back to my alma mater, but I did find my friends again. Mia pulled me into our old dorm group chat. They complained. Anna, you gave up so much during your years as a stay-at-home wife. The little son you used to be completely changed. Your whole world revolved around your daughter. They were talking about promotions and raises in the group chat, while I was busy changing diapers, making baby food, and comforting Asher when his business was struggling. Until one day, I left the group. Time and distance had slowly pulled me away from my old friends. Listening to my roommates' complaints, I mocked myself. Perhaps I was under a spell back then. Ethan sent me some materials to familiarize myself with the company's business. I studied with the same intensity as in my senior year of high school. Fortunately, the knowledge I had learned was not like fleeting memories. It was firmly rooted in my brain. I learned to do in-depth industry research reports and study the impact of current policies. Whenever I didn't understand something, Ethan was there to help immediately. With all the resources at my disposal, he said not to rush. That with my learning ability, I would achieve good results by taking it step by step. I quickly got into the swing of things and took on important work at the company. In contrast to this was Asher's attitude. At first, he scoffed, thinking I would have trouble even getting a permanent position. Slowly, he came to accept it. Of course, Mr. CEO had more than one home and couldn't personally take care of his daughter all the time. He hired a nanny and interviewed a professional childcare specialist. Chloe was very well behaved. Seeing me working hard, she didn't make a fuss. She said she liked the current me better. Mommy smiles more now, and she's even more beautiful. Before, my wardrobe consisted mostly of casual sportswear and matching parent-child outfits. Now, I went on a shopping spree at the mall, buying 10 sets of business attire at once, and even learned to do my own makeup and styling. Often, I had to meet with clients, and I couldn't embarrass Ethan. One day, Asher called, scolding me. Anna, you know Chloe is severely allergic. How could you give her candy with sesame seeds? You're such a failure as a mother, almost killing your own daughter. Lately, I had been working late and snacking to stay awake. I remembered the candy I had casually put in Chloe's bag that morning. It did have a sesame filling. My heart clenched, but Asher's attitude was terrible. I retorted defensively. What are you yelling about? I have amnesia. How am I supposed to remember all the foods my daughter is allergic to? You're her father. You only told me she couldn't eat egg whites and shrimp. How was I supposed to know nuts were off limits too? Asher was momentarily speechless. He had been too anxious. The childcare specialist had called and said that after eating what her mother had prepared, Chloe had developed red blotches all over her face, had severe diarrhea, and was having trouble breathing. Asher's first reaction was that I hadn't taken good care of our daughter, but he had forgotten that it was precisely because Chloe was allergic to fish, shrimp, eggs, and dairy that her meals had to be specially prepared. I didn't trust anyone else, so I had stayed at home to carefully plan her nutritious meals. Day after day, I was confined to the kitchen, preparing meals for my daughter and my husband. Asher hadn't heard of his daughter having an allergic reaction in a long time. It wasn't that her immune system had gotten stronger, but that I had been silently putting in the effort. The reason he was unaware was that after the company took off, The temptations of the world were too many. The subtle warmth of family couldn't hold him back. This sudden realization made Asher feel as if a piece of his heart was missing, and he had a premonition that he would never get it back. He rushed to the hospital. Chloe was half asleep on the bed, her curly eyelashes wet with tears. She looked so small and helpless. My nose tingled, and I felt a wave of guilt. The little girl opened her eyes, saw me, and asked for a hug. "Mommy." I reached out and held my sweet, soft daughter in my arms. It had taken me a while, but I was finally getting used to being a mother and accepting everything in this new era. "Baby, I'm sorry. I didn't remember you were allergic to sesame seeds. It's okay. I used to only eat food that Mommy made, but you haven't cooked in a long time, and I really wanted a snack. When you're better, I'll cook for you again." Okay. Asher stayed overnight for the first time, probably to make sure I didn't give our daughter the wrong food again. I was about to leave when he followed me out. The hospital corridor was quiet, the air filled with the smell of disinfectant. Asher spoke from behind me. "Anna, I'll give you 100,000 a month. Can you quit your job and stay home to take care of Chloe?" I looked at him like he was an idiot. "What's my job title? Nanny or nutritionist?" "That's not what I mean. You were able to stay home and take care of her before. Why can't you now?" "Because I have amnesia. I've forgotten the 10 months I carried her to become a mother. And I can't tie my future to you again." The gap in my career made it so hard for me to find a job. "If you trap me for another 10 years, do you want me to beg you and your mistress for scraps?" "Anna, I said I would never treat you unfairly. Don't be so stubborn. People's hearts are unpredictable." My phone rang, and I couldn't be bothered to deal with him anymore. "Ethan, you're at the Triumph Hotel. I'll be right there." Anger flared on Asher's face, and he grabbed my wrist. "It's so late. Where are you going?" "None of your business." "To pick someone up?" "No. You have no right to stop me." "Then I won't stay with my daughter." "You stay. You're insane." "Anna, you said you would only pick me up for the rest of your life. Why are you breaking your promise? What was wrong with this dog of a man?" I pushed him away forcefully. "Asher, when we got married, you must have sworn to love me for a lifetime. Right. Now you've broken your promise. Why should I keep mine?" Asher let go, dejected, watching my retreating back. Memories flooded his mind. In the early days of his business, I had handed out flyers for him, begged clients, and picked him up late at night. Through scorching summer days and freezing winter nights, I was the only one by his side. Later, when we had Chloe, I was afraid of disturbing his work, so I went out all my prenatal check. UPS alone. Unlike the obstetrics ward I had just passed, where many wives had their husbands by their side, but I had never complained. But all of this, after Clara appeared, Asher slowly forgot. He was deceived by her sweet talk, creating an illusion. The company had only taken off after his mistress arrived, and Clara was the one who should share the fruits of victory. He had completely forgotten that a 9-story tower is built from the ground up. Without my contributions, the company would never have survived to see that day. Ethan was not that bored. He wouldn't call me to pick him up just because he was drunk. He was meeting a big client tonight, an alumnus from N University, and he wanted me to handle the follow-up. Seeing my apprehension, he encouraged me. "Don't be afraid. After the first time, it will get easier. Get ready. We're flying back to N City tomorrow to discuss another big deal." This was an excellent opportunity. I was very grateful. With my thin resume, I wouldn't have been able to grow so quickly without Ethan's support. He had his driver take me home before slowly driving away in his Maybach. Early the next morning, when Asher called, I was already at the airport. "Anna, your suitcase is gone. Where are you going?" "On a business trip. With Ethan." "You're married. Don't you know how to avoid suspicion?" "You're sick. Don't the female employees in your company have to go on business trips? Quit your job and come back. Your daughter needs you." "You're a liar. I called her smartwatch this morning. She said she's much better. And Daddy isn't at the hospital. You have your mistress to attend to, and I have my work to do. It's fair." "Stop it, Clara." I didn't want to talk to someone who was out of their mind. I hung up the phone. I was about to board. Asher felt a damn sense of familiarity. At first, he and Clara weren't like that. But I had insisted that the new female employee from abroad was no good and didn't want her at the company. Clara, on the one hand, acted wronged, and on the other hand, said it didn't matter if she was misunderstood, as long as the company was doing well. I had to admit, Clara was really outstanding back then. Good looking, sweet talker, presentable, and more attractive than the plain-faced wife at home. They talked and talked, and then Asher ended up in bed with her. When I called to check on him, all I got was an impatient brush off. Asher had never thought that one day I would no longer care if he was with Clara or not, and even allow another man into my life. A sense of possessiveness made Asher very irritable. It wasn't just Ethan and me who arrived at the hotel. The core team members were there too. Everyone was discussing enthusiastically, as if we were back at a university debate. The Ethan of 10 years later, in a well-tailored suit, was tall and elegant. A refined gentleman. I couldn't help but praise him. Ethan, you're as charming as ever. Handsome and capable. You charm a whole crowd wherever you go. A smile curved his lips. You're as lively and cheerful as before. A completely different person from when we met last year. I seem to have caught a fleeting piece of information. Where? It was right after your mother passed away. Fortunately, that's all in the past now. My expression darkened for a moment, then quickly cleared. Yes. During this time, I had pieced together my past self from the various clues around me. An anxious housewife, hysterically checking up on her cheating husband, entangled with him, and disconnected from society. Every label was filled with despair. Fortunately, after losing my memory, I didn't fight the dragon. Cutting my losses had instead led me to a new world, and I had found the hopeful me again. It was great. Ethan took a picture of my confident and calm demeanor. Post it on your social media, so everyone can get to know the new, shining you. Many people praised me for being beautiful and confident. Only Asher became a nagging old woman. He called me many times, asking when I would be back. He said that after the seasons changed, Chloe had been sick twice and had gone to the hospital 3 times. I simply replied to her smartwatch. My daughter coughed for a long time and said in a soft, wheezing voice, "That bad auntie is so annoying. She said I'm faking being sick again and that mommy taught me to. But daddy doesn't seem to believe her anymore. They even had a fight. Did I do something wrong? Of course not. Don't hold it in when you're sick. Tell someone if you're not feeling well." Even from these few words, I could guess what was going on. Chloe's health was delicate, and she was a frequent visitor to the hospital. But before, Asher rarely took care of her. On the days he wasn't home, he was instigated by Clara and thought I was deliberately making our daughter sick to compete for his affection and force him to come home. Only after taking care of her himself did Asher realize that raising a child with a delicate constitution was not as simple as throwing money at the problem. And it was impossible to completely hand her over to a nanny. Chloe told me not to rush back. "I miss mommy very much, but I like the smiling you, like a little son, even more." My daughter was so thoughtful, just as I loved my mother. She also loved me deeply. The day the deal was sealed, Ethan and I walked out of a hotel near N University, smiling. We ran into someone unexpected. Asher's dark eyes stared at him fixedly. An ominous aura emanated from him. The first thought that came to my mind was that a mad dog wanted to bite someone. I was about to pretend I didn't see him when I heard Asher's slightly hoarse voice. "Wife, why aren't you answering my calls? Sick." Who, in the midst of their busy schedule, would have the time to listen to their soon-to be ex-husband's calls, alternating between threats and pleas, trying to force me to go back and take care of his child. He ignored my disregard for him. He looked at my outfit with an appreciative gaze. Ethan's personal stylist had picked out an Armani suit for me. My makeup was exquisite and professional, exuding a sense of sophistication. I looked nothing like the plain-faced housewife who used to wear bulky loungewear and was busy cooking, taking care of her child, and going to the hospital. Ethan's lips curved into a faint smile. "Anna, do you want to go to the celebration party tonight?" Asher interrupted. "Chloe is here too. The nanny took her to buy your favorite fried buns from that place near the school. She said she's never been to her mother's alma mater and wanted to see it." What was this? I didn't understand. Ethan wasn't insistent. "It's okay. The deal is done. You can leave separately. The company will reimburse your plane ticket." Asher's competitive spirit flared. "No need. We'll fly back first class." My eyes almost rolled back into my head. After my colleagues left, I questioned him. Asher, we're getting a divorce. What are you doing here? I thought you came here alone with him, and you wouldn't answer my calls. I was upset. Before, I had chased after him, and he didn't care. Now that I was no longer revolving around him, he was following me around. Men are such masochists. Chloe held my hand and skipped along the tree-lined path of N University. I got excited and showed her where I had won a race, and the classroom I had been late to. Chloe frolicked on the slightly yellowed grass. She smiled sweetly, her eyes crinkling. She looked so much like me when I was young. As dusk fell, Asher followed behind us. A bicycle swerved towards us. He pulled me and Chloe, whom I had just lifted to pick an autumn leaf, into a tight embrace. Be careful. I could feel his chest rising and falling against me, his hand on my waist holding me tight, refusing to let go for a long time. I pushed him away in embarrassment and annoyance. Don't take advantage of the situation. But Asher looked hurt. I'm sorry. I just suddenly remembered that I used to say that when we had a child. I would definitely bring her back here to see it. I didn't expect it to come true. So many mornings here. You were afraid I wouldn't eat breakfast, so you bought it from the N University cafeteria and brought it to the next college over. When I was first starting my business as a middleman, you shamelessly went from dorm to dorm for me, selling products. I didn't have much money back then. When you found out I had bought you a rabbit cake with the money I had saved from eating instant noodles, you cried. Back then, a cake cost 188 yuan. Asher was focused on starting his business on campus, and I often subsidized him with my living expenses. To celebrate my birthday, he had worked as a laborer for 2 days, injuring his leg while helping someone move things. Seeing my limping boyfriend, still holding a cake, I cried my eyes out. Asher, you're so foolish. It's not like I've never had cake before. It's different. You only turned 20 once. I want to give you the sweetest thing in the world. But later, he even forgot my birthday. He went on vacation with another woman, leaving his wife at home to comfort their daughter. Fortunately, I had forgotten everything, both the happiness and the pain. But Asher became the unfortunate one, trapped by memories of the past. The more he talked, the more guilty he felt. His expression suddenly looked as if he owed me 8 million. My eyes were full of indifference, my tone even a little cold. If we walked so far together, and you still betrayed me, you deserve to be forgotten. Asher was stunned. His remorse was like hitting cotton, soft and powerless. He couldn't say another word. His phone rang in the quiet campus. Asher didn't answer. The other person was persistent. He rejected the call several times before finally answering. Clara's voice was shrill, and I could hear her clearly even without speakerphone. Asher, why are you avoiding me? Didn't you say you would divorce that woman and meet my parents? I told you she was a schemer, either making her daughter fake being sick or faking amnesia to keep you. She's just betting that you'll be soft-hearted. The call ended. Asher suddenly grabbed my arm. Anna, for Chloe's sake, can you give me another chance? I held my sleeping daughter on my shoulder and quickly stepped back. Asher, I have amnesia, not brain damage. You and Clara were already at the stage of meeting the parents. I don't want a tainted man. He looked pained. I won't go with her. After you lost your memory, I remembered a lot of things from the past. You've given so much for me and Chloe. I don't believe you'd really be willing to leave. You're insane. Go get your head checked. I held Chloe and walked away quickly. He stared at our backs, stunned. His eyes gradually turned red. Yellow leaves fell. It was as if it was replaying our 18 or 19-year-old selves, eating, shopping, and watching movies together, doing all the intimate things. We had loved each other so passionately, with so many sweet and innocent memories. We had promised to walk together for a lifetime, and when we were old, we would go to concerts without our children and enjoy our time together. But in the end, Asher found a new love halfway through, and I was injured and lost my memory. Revisiting the old place. Faces change, but the scenery remains the same. No one was stubbornly waiting for anyone anymore. Asher had completely changed. He suddenly had a lot of time to come home, do crafts with Chloe, and clumsily make my favorite braised pork ribs. The person who used to be keen on working overtime and socializing became me. Clara added me on WeChat with a new account. She desperately tried to provoke me. She said Asher would carry her on his back when she wore high heels, walking on the beach. On my birthday, he flew with her to see fireworks. On kindergarten parent-child day, he took her to buy new jewelry. Anna, stop pretending. You just want to use Asher's sympathy and soft heart to keep him by your side. Do you know how crazy he is for me in bed? When I wear black stockings, he even mocks you for being too loose after giving birth, saying it's a complete turn off. Oh my God, this woman. Had she forgotten that my memory was stuck in my innocent freshman year? Sob. I've been corrupted. I screenshotted it and sent it to Asher. Control your mistress. Get a divorce quickly. If she keeps being a secret third party, she's probably going to get rabies. Asher's face changed. I'll handle it. I don't know what that dog of a man said to Clara. She came to Ethan's company, insisting on seeing me. Anna, what did you say to Asher? Why is he suddenly bringing up old scores? I've been with him for so long, being pointed at and gossiped about. If it weren't for my contributions to the company's IPO, how could you have been a comfortable Mrs. Cole? I was speechless. Clara lost control and smashed a glass bottle in the corner of the hallway, pushing me hard. My palm was deeply cut, and blood flowed all over the floor. When Asher arrived, Ethan had already called the police and was personally cleaning my wound with a first aid kit. Clara threw herself into Asher's arms. Don't leave me. Okay. Without Anna interfering, how could you possibly demand back the money you spent on me? Asher pushed her away, his voice extremely cold. It has nothing to do with Anna. You were greedy and reached too far into the company's finances. Did you cause her injury? Clara cried hysterically. Yes. It's because I fell in love with a married man. I deserve to be scolded. But if I hadn't secured that order from the wrong family, how could your company have survived, let alone go public? Ethan's hand paused. Asher's expression was complicated. Clara, you're still lying to me. I've already investigated it. The person from the wrong family who saved the company back then finally admitted that he did it for Anna's sake. You took advantage of your job at the wrong family to take the credit. And you even had the audacity to steal my wife's contribution. I was confused. Asher explained patiently. 3 years ago, the company faced its biggest crisis ever. Just as it was about to collapse, we sought help everywhere. Finally, the wrong family stepped in. For some reason, the other party didn't specify that they were helping me, but they did help Asher's company get through the crisis. Clara had taken the credit. She not only orchestrated her job hop, but also seduced the CEO. Asher looked at her with contempt. Clara, even your degree is fake. Besides lying, what else can you do? Her eyes quickly turned red, her lips twitching. It's because you doted on your wife so much back then, getting jealous over that plain-faced woman at home, and still thinking about her when you were on the verge of bankruptcy. I wanted a good man for a husband. What's wrong with that? I was shocked by her twisted logic, without thinking about the consequences of a fight. I kicked her hard. Clara fell. Her face scraped against the broken glass, leaving a long scar. She went crazy and tried to hit me, but both Ethan and Asher stood in front of me. When giving our statements, the security camera happened to be in a blind spot. No one else was to blame. Clara had planned to hit me from the beginning and had chosen a secluded corner. Asher and Ethan testified that she had hurt me first, and I had retaliated. Clara couldn't believe it. Asher, you're framing me for that plain-faced woman. Asher's voice was even colder. Don't think I don't know. To force me to give up custody of Chloe. You bribed the nanny to add peanut butter to her pastries. If I hadn't been home a lot recently, she would have been killed by you. You dare to harm my daughter. Utterly depraved. I couldn't help it. I slapped her hard again in the police station. Clara went hysterical. It's because that little brat is always competing with me for attention. Always faking being sick to call her daddy home. A woman's jealousy is terrifying. She would attack anyone, young or old. Since Chloe was not physically harmed, Clara did not go to jail. But she didn't get to be smug for long. Asher fired Clara for academic fraud. And to win me back, he forcibly demanded back the money he had spent on her. When you corner a dog, it will bite back. Clara drank a lot and tried to run me and Chloe over with her car. Asher, perhaps out of a guilty conscience, pushed us away forcefully and was hit by the car. There was a moment of silence. Clara frantically beat the steering wheel, screaming, Asher, why did you save them? It's not worth it. Anna, Asher doesn't love you at all. On the day your mother died, he was with me in Switzerland, skiing. If you get back together with him, your mother will look down on you from the afterlife. Asher's face was ashen as he lay in a pool of blood. This is just how I am. The man I can't have. No one else can. The love of an obsessive person is terrifying. Asher didn't die. The price was a broken leg. When we signed the divorce papers, he mocked himself. I thought you had forgotten about your mother's death and that we had a chance to start over. But now that you know the truth, you will probably never forgive me. Indeed, I hadn't recovered my memory, but given how much I loved my mother, I could not forgive a husband who was frolicking with another woman while she was on her deathbed. That was not only a betrayal to me, it had also deeply hurt a mother's heart. On the verge of death, my mother had wanted to entrust me to Asher's care, but he didn't even answer her call. Her unspoken last words became her final regret. I wanted custody of Chloe and more company shares. Asher agreed. He said it was what he owed me. I'm sorry. The ups and downs of life had made him genuinely admit his mistake. Anna, I hurt you so much in the past. I hope you won't hold it against me. My heart was calm. I don't hate you, and I don't remember anything that happened between us. Asher's face turned pale. Anna, how could you not remember? This meant that of all the memories we shared, only he was left to hold on to them. Asher became even more gloomy. His business was not doing well, and his health was deteriorating. I left without any hesitation. The money I had cashed out was enough for Chloe and me to live comfortably for 2 lifetimes. Later, I heard that Asher had someone torture Clara in prison. If it weren't for her, he would have had a complete family and a bright future. But life has no regrets. Betrayal is a one-way street. There is no turning back. Not recovering my memory was not a bad thing for me. I loved life and restarted my dreams as if I had never been hurt. Chloe said, I love the current mommy. She smiles happily every day, as warm as the little sun lamp on my bedside table. I got promoted and a raise. At the annual company party, Ethan formally introduced me to the CEO of the Rome family. To my surprise, the other party smiled as soon as he saw me. My young friend, isn't this the undergraduate junior you asked me to help out back then? It turned out that the person who had helped Asher's company back then was Ethan. In the banquet hall, music flowed. I swirled the red wine in my glass. Ethan, why didn't you take credit for your good deed? He pondered for a moment and clinked his glass with mine. Back then, when I went abroad as an exchange student, I didn't stay for my first love. I was seriously injured in a skiing accident and spent a long time recovering abroad. I also got into a local graduate school. When I came back, I found you were someone else's wife, so I had to let go. But when Asher's company was in crisis, I saw you swallowing your pride, holding your child, and begging for help. I couldn't bear it. At that time, Ethan had learned that Asher was a very jealous man. To avoid causing trouble between us, he had asked his senior, Mr. Rome, to help. Mr. Rome was often abroad, which gave Clara the opportunity to take advantage. Snowflakes fell gently. Ethan confessed his feelings for me, but I hesitated. You are so outstanding, but I am divorced and have a child. His eyes reddened slightly. Anna, ever since I almost died back then, I've known that life is unpredictable. We should seize the people who are worth cherishing. Ethan's slightly trembling voice fell into my ears, warm and hoarse. We walked hand in hand in the snow. I heard a child reciting, the heavy snow has arrived, and the cold is deep. May you have clothes to wear when your body is cold, and someone to warm your heart when it is cold. May you meet a good person. Sing long songs to warm your life, and spend your years in peace. The beautiful spring of next year will surely arrive with the warmth of life. As scheduled,